911. What's the address of your emergency case then? Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
We heard and looked in. The garage door was up, and I thought the gentleman was backing out. And I went back to my house, but he never backed out. And I came back over, and his driver's side window is shattered, and he's battered and can't answer. He's inside. I don't know if somebody tried to shoot him or if he shot himself or what. I don't know. He didn't send an ambulance in a hurry. An EMT. He's still alive. He's moving.
Okay. What's going on with him?
I don't know. The driver's side window is all bashed in, and he's got blood all over his head. He's not responding to me. I think you need to hurry.
Yeah, I'm going to get him on the way to you. I just want to ask you a few questions, okay?
Go ahead, but send them as you're asking.
Yes, sir. They're already on the way, okay? Are you with him now?
I'm standing right outside the garage door.
Can you tell me how old he is?
I don't know. He looks like maybe 35 or 40.
Hang on 1 second for me, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. I apologize about that. What was how old is the patient again? I'm sorry.
I can't tell. He looks maybe 35 or 40. I don't know.
Okay. And is he awake?
He's just moving his head around, but he's not responding. I've called his name, asked what's going on, or not called his name, but asked him what's happening. He's not responding to that, but his head's kind of rolling around.
Okay. Is he conscious?
Well, I can't tell.
Okay. Is he breathing?
I can't tell that. I'm assuming he's breathing if he's moving his head around.
Did you ever hear him talk or anything?
No.
Okay. You said he's sitting in the car, right?
Correct, in the driver's seat.
Okay, where exactly is he? In the driver's seat? You know,
in the driver's seat.
Is he in the garage or?
In the garage.
Okay. Can you direct the emergency crews to him, sir?
Sure.
Okay. All right, I'm sending the paramedics to help you now. Just stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next.
Okay.
If it's safe to do so, see if he is conscious and breathing or moving at all, okay?
It's not safe for me to do. I don't want to put my hand in here.
Okay. Well, help's on the way.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be standing by. And I've heard about break-ins in the area, and so I decided to walk over and take a look. And the garage door was up and asked him what was happening. And then I saw the window was shattered, and he's got blood. I'm going to be over here waiting for the EMT, honey. Okay, go ahead, but just tell the kids to hold on inside. They're okay. But tell them I'm out here.
All right, just stay on the line with me for now, okay, sir?
Okay, I
got him on the way to you.
Very good. I'm standing at the street, so if I see him coming down the street, I can direct him right in.
So he won't respond to you at all?
Not to me.
Holler at him or anything?
Yeah, he didn't respond, but his head's kind of moving around.
Okay.
But I've walked away from the car right now. I'm standing at the street, so.
And he's?
No.
Okay.
He's inside. The window's shattered. The garage door was up.
Okay.
Where is the vehicle dispatched from?
I'm not sure. Give me a second. I'll try to see where they are, okay? Is he still moving around?
I don't know. I'm standing at the street now trying to wait for your vehicle. Did you say you were checking on where it was?
Yes, sir.
Or where it's coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it coming from?
I'm checking.
Okay.
Got several people on the way. Looks like one person's coming from McClay Road.
Okay, well, it may take them a while to get here then. We're close to the hospital, so.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying his head is bloody now?
Yeah, it's been bloody. I mean, it's...
Okay.
The window shattered. I don't know if he's tried to shoot himself. I don't know what the situation is.
And it's the driver's side window, correct?
That's correct. He's still moving around, so he's alive.
Okay. Looks like I should have an officer coming up the roadway.
Okay, well, we need EMT.
Well, the officer's going to be there first. They're not going to come until we figure out what's going on, but they're on the way as well, okay?
He better be if this guy's got a shot living.
Yes, sir. They're on the way as well, okay?
Yep. It looks like could be an officer now.
Is he there?
Yeah, he's just coming up right now.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, sir, okay?
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Right.
What if I told you that a grandmother booked a one-way ticket to a country with no extradition treaty exactly 1 week after her son was convicted of orchestrating a hit? What if I told you that when an undercover agent approached her on a Miami street, pretending to extort her over a decade-old execution, her first call wasn't to police, but to her son? What if I told you that in a case spanning 11 years and 5 convictions, the woman prosecutors describe as the architect never pulled a trigger, never drove the getaway car, never even met the hired gunman? This is the story of Donna Adelson, 75 years old, matriarch of a wealthy South Florida family, a woman who lived in luxury condos and signed paychecks at a thriving dental practice, a woman who portrayed herself as the ultimate Jewish grandmother, devoted to her family above all else. Convicted in September 2025 of first-degree felony homicide in the shooting demise of her former son-in-law, Florida State University law professor Dan Markel. But this isn't just about guilt or innocence. It's about how someone can proclaim their virtue so forcefully while evidence suggests something entirely different. It's about performance versus truth. About proxy voices speaking when silence will be more damning. About careful planning masked as maternal devotion. About a family that communicated in code when they should have been calling for help. Before we go further, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for Dark Trail Files. We dive deep into cases that make you question everything you thought you knew about justice, family, and the masks people wear. This is a story that will make you reconsider what evil actually looks like. Because sometimes it doesn't look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like a grandmother. Daniel Eric Markel was 41 years old when his life was cut short. A Harvard Law graduate who had clerked for a federal judge. A respected scholar who wrote extensively about punishment and retribution in criminal justice, ironically becoming the subject of his own life's work. He joined the faculty of Florida State University in 2005 and quickly became known as a dedicated teacher and prolific academic. He had 2 young sons whom he adored. He had a career he loved, and he had an ex-wife who wanted to take those children 500 miles away from him. Wendi Adelson, born into privilege in South Florida. Her father Harvey and brother Charlie were successful dentists running the Adelson Institute, a thriving practice in Tamarack. Wendi herself was a law professional, working at Florida State's law school. She had met Dan in 2004 on a Jewish dating website. They married 2 years later, in 2006. For a while, it seemed like a partnership of equals. 2 legal minds. 2 academics. But cracks appeared after their sons were born. Wendi later described the marriage as lonely. She said Dan didn't view her as an equal. Dan, for his part, never publicly spoke ill of her before his passing. But court documents tell a different story. A story of increasing control. Of a wife whose mother and brother seemed to have more influence over decisions than her husband did. After their acrimonious divorce in 2013, when he wanted to relocate their 2 preschool-aged boys from Tallahassee to South Florida to be closer to her family. The family. That's where this story truly begins. Because Wendi's mother, Donna, wasn't just a grandmother who wanted to see her grandchildren more often. She was, according to prosecutors, someone who could not accept that a court order stood between her and what she wanted. Donna was described by prosecutors as extremely controlling. She had very strong opinions about all decisions in Wendi's life. Her career, her relationships, even purchasing a home. This wasn't a supportive mother offering guidance. This was someone who expected obedience. In July 2013, a judge denied Wendi's request to move the children. The boys would stay in Tallahassee. Dan Markel had one. Donna reportedly discussed offering Dan $1 million to let the children relocate. $1 million. Think about that. What kind of grandmother offers that kind of money to overcome a custody arrangement? Someone for whom money is a tool. Someone for whom problems have solutions. And when $1 million offer didn't happen or didn't work, what then? That victory would cost Dan everything. By early 2014, tensions had escalated far beyond divorce proceedings and custody schedules. The battle had become deeply and intensely toxic. Dan filed a motion seeking to restrict Donna Adelson from having unsupervised time with his sons. He cited disparaging comments about their father, comments designed to turn his children against him. The motion alleged a pattern, a deliberate campaign to poison the boys' perception of their father. Think about what it takes to file such a motion. Dan was documenting behavior disturbing enough to bring before a court. He was saying this grandmother was actively harming his sons. That's not a step taken lightly. That's desperation. A hearing was scheduled. Due to attorney changes, it was continued. Dan Markel never made it to that hearing. He was eliminated before he could present his case. The timing isn't coincidental. It's damning. Friday morning, July 18th, 2014. A day that should have been ordinary. Dan dropped his sons at preschool at 8:50. He kissed them goodbye, told them he loved them. He had no idea those would be his last moments with them. No idea that someone had already decided this was the day he would die. He went to Premier Health and Fitness Center around 9:12. Just a routine workout. Surveillance footage shows a green Toyota Prius arriving at the gym around the same time. That Prius would follow him home. The occupants had driven from Miami. They had stalked him before, learned his patterns, his routines. They knew where he dropped his kids. They knew when he went to the gym. They knew he would be alone when he returned home. At 11 that morning, Dan pulled into his driveway on Trescott Drive in Tallahassee's Benton Hills neighborhood. A quiet, tree-lined street where people felt safe, where children rode bikes and neighbors waved to each other. He was on a phone call, a normal conversation. He mentioned to the person on the line that someone unfamiliar was in his driveway. There was confusion in his voice. Not fear yet, just uncertainty. Who is this? Why are they here? Then there was a muffled sound, a sound that no one should ever have to hear. Then nothing. Silence. The person on the other end of the call never heard from Dan Markel again. What happened next was witnessed by someone who should never have had to see what he saw. A neighbor, hearing gunfire, rushed to the scene.
Please raise your right hand to be sworn, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
You may take your seat. Please speak loudly and clearly for the jurors. You may examine the direction.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Thank you. Please say your name and spell your name.
My name is James Geiger, Geiger.
Sir, where do you live?
I live in Tallahassee.
How long have you lived at that residence?
It's getting pretty close to 50 years now, I think 48 or 49.
All right. I want to take you back to July 18th of 2024. Now I've got an ad on me. Do you recall something unusual that happened that day? I'm sorry, I said 2024. 2014, sir. You know what case we're here about. Do you remember what happened on that date?
Yes, I do.
All right. Could you please tell our jurors how something unusual first got your attention?
It was a Friday morning, about 10:30. My wife and I were sitting in our living room looking out towards Trescott Drive, out to the street. And as we were sitting there, we were doing something with our iPads, and we heard a noise, a popping, loud sound, bang sound, and we immediately got up and walked to the front. We have a big picture window. Walked up to see if we could determine what had happened and where it had come from. We weren't sure it was to the right or to the left. And,
all right, let me pause you right there and show you a couple photographs that I have as marked as states 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Do you recognize these photographs, sir?
Yes, I do.
Are these fair and accurate photographs of your residence at that time, as well as the view from the window you've described?
Yes, it's true.
Judge, at this time I'd ask to admit 1 through 3 and publish.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
States 1 through 3 are admitted.
If we could publish states 1, please. All right, sir, so if you could just explain, give me that pointer, please, what we're looking at in this photo, and I've got a pointer here, if that's of any assistance to you. Push the middle button, you get a red dot. You don't have to use it. Oh, if you are going to use it, though, use it on the big screen, please, sir. All right, so just describe what we're looking at in this photo, states 1.
This is taken from Trescott Drive. The house on the right is my house, and the house on the left was Danny's house.
Okay, and the bay window that you've described, is that what is pictured in this portion of the photo right here? Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's correct.
Publish states 2, please. Sir, is this the view from that window?
Yes,
All right.
This is what I saw as I looked out.
Okay, and the driveway that we can see there on the right side of the window, is that Dan Markel's driveway?
Yes, it is.
All right, so you've described that something got your attention. Can we have states 3, please?
Well, as I mentioned, I wasn't sure where the noise had come from, and I looked to the left and to the right, and as I looked to the right, there was a car that was rapidly backing out of the driveway and immediately headed down in that direction towards Benton Road. It caught my attention because it seemed to be going so fast. And I noticed what it looked like, and that caught my attention, although quite frankly it was out of the corner of my eye. It appeared to be a Prius, a light-colored Prius, maybe silver or white.
Okay, so something got your attention. What was that?
Well, that was what got my attention, and then...
Was the vehicle itself?
Excuse me?
Was the vehicle itself, or some noise preceded you see in the vehicle?
Well, initially we had heard this loud noise, which we weren't exactly sure it was. It could have been a gunshot, we weren't sure. And then when I saw the car back out, that prompted me then to walk next door. There had been in the neighborhood a few break-ins, burglaries, and my first thought was that somebody was trying to break into the Markel house. And so I went out the front door and walked across over to Danny's house to see if anything had been damaged, maybe tried to be broken into the garage or something.
Yes, sir. When you looked out, you said you saw the car back out and then exit toward Benton Road. Would that be going this direction, to the right of the photograph, or toward the left of the photograph?
It would be towards the right.
Okay, so out this way. And you said you walked over there just to sort of look around, make sure everything was okay. What did you see?
As I approached his garage, I noticed that the garage door was open, his car was inside, and the motor was running. And so I thought then, well, I guess so much for a burglary. I don't think that's happened if Danny's there. So I turned around and walked back to my house.
Okay. What happened next?
After that, I can't tell you why, but I just stood at my front window and looked out and waited for a few minutes, maybe 3 or 4, up to 5. And for some reason, it just didn't quite seem right. Danny hadn't backed out, and I thought by this time he should have backed out of his driveway, and he didn't. And so I said to my wife, I think something just seems wrong. I'm going to walk back over. And so I did that.
All right. And what did you see when you got over there?
Excuse me?
What did you see when you got over there the second time?
Well, when I went back the second time, I noticed that the garage door was still up, the car was still running, and this time I thought, maybe I better walk on into the garage. He's probably in the driver's seat. He's probably on the cell phone talking, but I just wanted to make sure everything was okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
so I walked into the actual driveway then, and I saw that the window, the driver's side window, had been shattered, and I stepped on glass at that same time. As I looked inside, I saw a bloody head, and the head was slowly moving back and forth, rolling back and forth, left to right. And I hollered immediately, "Danny, what happened?" And I didn't get any response other than the head rolling, and so I hollered again, "Danny, Danny, what's happened?" Still nothing. And at that point, I knew that I had to get the emergency medical team there as quickly as I could. I reached into my pocket to pull out my cell phone, which is where I normally keep it, and it wasn't there. And I thought, gee, I've left it back on the couch at the house. And so I quickly dashed back to the house, got the phone, and called 911.
How many minutes do you estimate elapsed between the time you saw the Prius backing out, or really I should say the time you heard the loud bang, to the time that you were able to reach 911?
Less than 10 minutes, more than 5 minutes, somewhere in there, I would say.
I'm going to approach and show you what I've marked as State's Exhibits 4, and then I also have 6 and 7. This is number 4, and I'll draw your attention to some initials on number 4, and then also 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize these photos?
Yes, I do.
All right, Judge, at this time I'd ask to move into evidence 6 and 7.
Any objection?
No objection.
States 6 and 7 are admitted.
Publish State 6, please.
You may.
Sir, is this how the vehicle was positioned when you went over there and found Mr. Markel so badly injured?
Yes, that looks correct.
Publish State 7, please. Was the doors to the vehicle are open in this photograph? Were they open or closed when you went over?
No, they were all closed.
Okay, closed, and the only window that was damaged was that the driver's side window?
That's the only one I saw. That's if there were some others, I didn't look at any other windows. I just simply saw the driver's side that was completely shattered.
All right, yes, sir. And State's Exhibit 4, is this consistent with the type of vehicle that you observed in the driveway backing out that day?
Yes, it was, although I didn't quite see that angle.
Okay. Judge, at this time I'd ask to introduce States 4.
Objection to States 4.
No objection.
Admitted at this time.
All right, and you described it as a light-colored Prius. You weren't exactly sure of the color, maybe white, maybe silver, right?
Yeah, silver came to mind first, I guess, but certainly a light-colored vehicle.
I'm going to approach and show you State's Exhibit 5. Recognize States 5?
Yes,
Is that Mr. Markel?
yes, it is.
All right, may I introduce States 5 here?
No objection. States 5 is admitted.
Publishing States 5. What did you know about Mr. Markel?
Well, this occurred in 2014, and Danny and Wendi were newlyweds and had moved in about 5 years earlier than that. They moved next door. We were not particularly close to either one. We would see them occasionally out on the street. The memorable thing, and the other neighbors would tell you, is that when they first moved in, they had a housewarming event, and they invited all the neighbors in, and we attended it. That was our first time to see them and visit them. They seemed like a nice young couple, and but after that, we weren't particularly close.
Did they have a couple little children living there?
Well, when they first moved there, they didn't, but after a year or two, they had a first child, and then later a second child.
All right, and at the time that Mr. Markel was shot, had his wife, Wendi, moved out? Had they separated?
Yeah, we had understood that they were going through a divorce, and Wendi had left, and after that, we rarely saw Danny, and I don't think we ever saw the kids either, but...
Were you familiar with Mr. Markel's profession?
Yes, I knew that he was an attorney. Both of them were, and they were connected with the FSU Law School, I believe, but I didn't know their exact positions there.
Yes, sir. Publish 4 again, please. Are you able to tell the jurors anything about the occupants of this vehicle on that day?
No, I only saw it just briefly, and to notice what kind of car it was. I couldn't tell you who was inside. The windows were dark as far as I could see. I didn't even know if it was 2-door or 4-door. I just didn't see anything like that.
During the time that you were present at the scene of the shooting, did Mr. Markel ever regain consciousness or ever say anything that you heard?
No, I never heard him say anything. The only notion was that his head kept rolling back and forth during the 911 call, which it took forever to try to get the emergency vehicle there, the emergency medical team. They would occasionally ask if he was still breathing. And I would walk back up into the garage, and his head was moving still. And I said, well, his head's moving. So I assume he's still breathing.
Yes, sir. Have you had an opportunity to review that recorded call that you made to 911 that day?
Yes, I have.
All right. And was it a fair and accurate recording of that call?
Yes.
All right, Judge, at this time I'd ask to move into evidence states 88.
Any objection?
No objection.
States 88 is admitted.
May I publish?
Go ahead.
What's your emergency?
It's right next door at my house, which is 2122 Trescott Drive.
Can you repeat that for verification?
2122 Trescott Drive, the T.
Okay, and the phone number you're calling from?
I'm calling from 850-212.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
We heard a loud bang and a car pulled away from next door. I came over and looked in, the garage door was up. And I thought the gentleman was backing out, and I went back to my house, but he never backed out. And I came back over, and his driver's side window was shattered, and he's battered, and can't answer. He's inside. I don't know if somebody tried to shoot him or if he shot himself or what. I don't know.
And it was at this location, correct?
Right next door. I'll give you mine. I don't know if his address is next door.
Okay.
He didn't send an ambulance in a hurry. EMG. He's still alive. He's moving.
Okay. What's going on with it?
I don't know. The driver's side window is all bashed in. He's inside. The car is running, and he's got blood all over his head. He's not responding to me. That number, by the way, is 2116. 2116.
All right, that's the first few minutes of a 14-minute call. Is that how long it took them to get somebody to you?
Seemed to me a lot longer.
Seemed like 14 hours, didn't it?
Long time.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross-examination for Mr. Geiger.
No question, Your Honor.
Mr. Geiger, you may step down, sir. Is he released from his subpoena? Will anyone need to recall him for any purpose?
He's released, Your Honor.
Have a good day, sir.
The neighbor found Dan slumped in the driver's seat of his car, the engine still running. The driver's side window shattered into 1,000 pieces. Blood everywhere. On the dashboard, on the seat, on Dan's face and head. He immediately called emergency services, his voice shaking, trying to describe what he was seeing, trying to process the violence of it. Dan had been shot twice in the head at intermediate range, 6 to 30 inches away, close enough to ensure the job was done. Once in the forehead, once in the left cheek. The bullets caused massive hemorrhaging, catastrophic brain damage. He also had defensive wounds on his left forearm. He had tried to protect himself, tried to block what was coming. But at that range, there was no chance. There was no forced entry into his home. No robbery. Nothing taken. This wasn't random violence. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. This was targeted. This was planned. This was execution in its most literal sense. Dan Markel was rushed to Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. Doctors worked frantically, but the damage was too severe. He died the following day, July 19th, 2014. He never regained consciousness. He never got to say goodbye to anyone. He never got to tell his sons he loved them one more time. The neighbor told investigators something crucial, something that would become the thread investigators would pull for the next 2 years. He saw a light-colored Toyota Prius backing out of Dan's driveway immediately after the shots, moving quickly, deliberately, not panicked, but purposeful. The driver knew where they were going. They had planned their escape route. Hours after the shooting, police located Wendi at a restaurant having lunch with friends. They brought her to the station without explaining why. And when she learned what happened, her instinct was immediate.
Okay, here goes. This is the worst day of my life. Maybe I should text them if I can't reach them. Hi, Mom. How's it going? Mom, I need you to sit down. I am fine. The boys are fine. I need you to sit down. I'm fine, and the boys are fine. Danny has been. You can put me on speaker. Yeah. Danny has been shot. And I don't think he's gonna make it. And so I know. So I found this out around 1 or 2 today, and I'm at the police station, and I'm trying to help them figure out who may have done this. The boys are fine. I had Lynn and Alan pick them up from school, and they're with Lynn and Alan right now. And I'm gonna leave here soon and go be with them. But I really need you to come here and be with me. But I want you to either fly, obviously you can't leave right now, but I need you to get yourself together. If it's too much to drive, I'd really rather that you flew up. I'm at the police station, and I'm gonna leave soon and be with the boys before they go to bed. They're with Alan and Lynn, and they're totally fine. Yeah, the boys are fine, but they don't know anything yet. In his house, I know. So I just need you to calm down before you get in the car, okay? Okay, so, and it's evening, so if you want to come here tomorrow, I have a lot of people that'll, be here with me, and, we'll have a lot of support. So I want you to take your time and just be safe in getting here, but I'd like you to come when you can, okay? Yeah. Okay, all right. I love you. I think Jane might, I have the car here, but Jane might take me. I'm not going to be alone, so I have a lot of support, and I'll be fine. Yeah, if you could just come here, that would be great. He's in the ICU in the hospital. Okay, but be careful, okay? Okay. Okay. Okay, love you too. Bye. Mom. Oh.
You did awesome with that call.
Thanks.
You were so stressed out about it, and you handled it.
If he goes to the house.
Sorry, my mom might be calling back if she heard me. Mom? You did, yeah. I just wanted to ask if you could just tell Charlie for me. I just don't want to be making calls right now, so if you could just tell Charlie for me, that would be great. Okay, and just, like, it's on the news a little bit that there was a shooting on Trescott, and so I'm starting to get a lot of calls, and I'm not going to be answering them unless they're from you, so I would really try not to tell anybody what's going on just yet, just because, like, he's in the hospital, and Charlie, I talked to Charlie earlier today, obviously before any of this happened. Like, I talked to him at like 10 this morning, and he said that he was coming to visit you guys this weekend, and he had plans, and he sounded good. I just can't, Mom. So can you just tell him? Yeah, just tell him for me, and then I'm sure I'll talk to him soon. But I don't want to be on the phone unless I have to right now. Okay? Okay. All right. Love you too. Bye. My mom handled that pretty well. Could you hear her?
Yeah. I think, because you're a mama, but moms always go in that natural instinct to kind of protect and help and...
Yeah. I'm waiting to hear from you whenever you can. That's Jean. When she said she's here if I need company or a ride, do you think she meant here, like, metaphysically? Or here, like, in the lobby?
No, I think I would hope metaphysically. And again, remind me, Jane's the neighbor down the street oh no, Jane.
Whoa. What kind of a rude way to say it.
When Wendi Adelson was told her ex-husband had been shot and wouldn't survive, she broke down. But during that 5-hour interrogation, something stood out. She mentioned that her brother Charlie had joked about hiring someone to handle Dan. She said Charlie had given her a television as a divorce gift, joking it was cheaper than hiring someone to eliminate the problem. But here's what makes that detail chilling. Years later, in wiretap calls between Donna and Charlie, they would use the word TV as code. $5,000 became a TV. When an undercover agent approached Donna demanding payment, she told Charlie someone wanted a TV worth about $5,000. This wasn't a joke that later coincidentally resembled code. This was code that Wendi tried to pass off as a joke. Within hours of Dan's execution, before anyone knew who was responsible, Wendi was creating distance from her family's involvement by framing their planning as harmless humor. Wendi's former boyfriend, Jeff Lacasse, would later testify that Wendi told him, dead serious, that her brother Charlie had looked into all options to take care of the Dan Markel problem, including hiring someone. And it would cost about $15,000. This wasn't presented as a joke. Wendi was scared. She was telling him something real. When you tell police it's a joke, you're covering. When you tell your boyfriend in private what your family is planning, that's truth slipping out. 2 years passed. Then, in May 2016, arrests were made. Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera, 2 men from Miami with ties to the Latin Kings gang. Neither had ever met Dan Markel. Neither had any connection to Tallahassee except for 2 trips they made in June and July 2014. Investigators tracked rental records for a green Toyota Prius. They analyzed cell tower data, placing Garcia and Rivera in Tallahassee on the day of the event. They found surveillance footage of the men at an ATM in Miami the same day. They traced SunPass toll records showing the Prius traveling from South Florida to Tallahassee and back. An unnamed informant told investigators about a meeting with Garcia and Rivera at a Tallahassee motel in June 2014. The witness recalled seeing Rivera with a revolver handgun, the same type used to end Dan Markel's life. Luis Rivera eventually took a plea deal, 19 years in exchange for cooperation. He admitted to driving the car. He said Sigfredo Garcia was the shooter, and he said something prosecutors would build their case around. He told investigators that the lady wants her 2 kids back, a custody dispute, a grandmother who wanted her grandchildren close. But how did 2 gang members from Miami end up contracted for a hit on a law professor? The answer was Catherine Magbanua, Sigfredo Garcia's former partner. mother of his 2 children, and, at the time, dating Charlie Adelson. Catherine Magbanua began receiving paychecks from the Adelson Institute shortly after Dan's demise. She never actually worked there, but between 2014 and 2016, she received 44 checks, all signed by Donna Adelson, $3,000 a month. Prosecutors argued these weren't paychecks. They were payments, blood money dressed as legitimate income. And here's what makes Donna's signature on those checks so significant. She managed the finances. Every check that went out, she approved. When Catherine Magbanua starts receiving monthly payments immediately after a hit, Donna knew exactly what those payments were for. Magbanua was convicted in 2022. Garcia in 2019. Both received life sentences, but the Adelson family remained untouched until April 2016, when the FBI decided to force their hand. The FBI needed to know if the Adelsons were involved, so they engineered a moment designed to provoke a reaction. It's called a bump, and what happened next would crack the case wide open.
Black shorts. What is it? Yeah. Okay, bye. Excuse me, Mrs. Adelson? How you doing? Just want to give you this. Listen.
Ew. You're scared.
Don't be scared. Listen, I just want to let you know that we know that your family has been taking care of Katie and her friend who moved over for quite some time after your problem up north has been resolved. And I want to let you know that my brother, he's incarcerated. He helped your family with this problem you guys had up north. And we want to make sure that he's going through some rough times. We want to make sure that you take care of what he's going through, the way you're taking care of Katie and Susan. Well, this will explain it. Thank you.
Pause it, please. Does the defendant remain under surveillance for some time after this?
She does.
Okay, we see her take the paper from the undercover and fold it and put it into her purse. Does she ever take it out and look at it before she gets back into her building?
Not that we ever saw, no.
Okay. And does she make any phone calls once she goes back into her building?
When she goes back into her building, she does.
And who is the first person that the defendant calls after the bump?
Charlie Adelson.
Right, is that call A?
It is.
Okay, publish call A, please.
Hey, Harm. Tonight after work or some other time in the very near future, I need to speak with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Did someone write a letter to you or something?
I've got some paperwork hand delivered to you.
You're being sued?
No, that's what I thought it was, but I'm going to talk to you.
Okay.
Okay, so, I'm going to be, I hope to figure out something. Depends how late you'll be, wherever you are.
Well, I'm in Mitch Klein's office on Park Boulevard.
Okay.
So I'm right now in Skyline, Chile, and I'll be at his office in the afternoon.
Okay. So the boys who finished their piano lesson around 4-ish, and I've got the traffic over there, and they take a ride with them up there.
Does Dad know about this?
The dad did work today, fortunately.
What's, is it IRS?
You know, those IRS people, they're kind of foggy sometimes, but, unfortunately not now.
Okay.
So I will talk to you, I'll give you a heads up if I'm going to drive up that way. Okay? And,
Is Wendy down there? Is it involved Wendy?
No. So let me just talk to you later, and,
What is it? Is there a health okay?
Yeah.
Does it involve me or other people?
Well, probably both of us.
What's that?
Probably the two of us. So you probably have a general idea what I'm talking about. So let's just find some time to talk to each other and take the boys for a ride, okay?
You're going to take the boys up there?
No, I don't think I can come home. I think I can get here till about 7 when Dad gets here.
So this morning, did you talk to me today?
Tomorrow, and it's important.
All right.
What's it
Well, I'll be up at Mitch Klein's office. You want to come up? Oh yeah. Oh really?
I'm just concerned that I just have to get up there and get back in time for Lindsay to get them. Sometimes she gets out a little early every month. It's kind of nuts here.
Can I ask you a question? Whose paperwork sent from?
I see that. That's great. I was something that came hand to hand for me. I exited the building today.
Is it ranked? Was it anonymous or?
No, oh no, it's not anonymous. It's not anonymous. I just don't want to discuss it on the phone.
Right, whatever it is. It's silly, but if you want,
I wouldn't bother you. Trust me.
Yeah. Do you want me to come down to see you tomorrow after the day off?
Yes, that would be wonderful. Dad actually works later tomorrow. You know, he goes in at 1 o'clock. We both work out at the gym from 9:30 to 10:30. So
whatever it is, I'll take a look at the paperwork.
Yeah.
I hope it's not the IRS.
I just would like you to review it and give me some input into what your thoughts are. Okay? So come down tomorrow. Dad leaves at 12, so anytime after 12 is good.
12 tomorrow?
Yeah, he leaves at 12. He starts at 1 there, so 12, 12:15.
I'll come down after that. I think I'll do it and see if it's good.
That would be great.
Perfect. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Love you. Bye.
Would you describe the defendant's demeanor on this call as really calm?
Yes,
She says Dad's at work, fortunately.
she does.
Does she indicate that she's in fear on the call?
No, she does not.
She was handed a piece of paper that had an article about the murder of Dan Markel, right?
Correct.
That's what the interaction was about.
That's correct. That's what he handed her and made reference to it.
And when Charlie asked the defendant what it's about, what does she say?
She says the both of us,
Probably both of us. Probably the two of us.
and then the two of us. Said it twice.
Does she say the name Dan Markel on this call?
No, she does not.
Does she say the name Dan Markel anywhere on this wire?
No, not that I recall.
Did she report this incident to the police?
No, she did not.
April 2016, nearly 2 years after Dan's execution. The investigation had stalled in some ways, accelerated in others. Garcia and Rivera were in custody, but the Adelson family remained free, living their lives in South Florida, running their dental practice, seemingly untouchable. FBI Special Agent Pat Sanford and his team knew they needed something more. They needed to watch how the Adelsons would react when confronted. Not in a courtroom, not in a police station where lawyers would control every word, but in a moment of surprise. Raw, unscripted. So they designed what's called a bump operation. An undercover agent would approach Donna Adelson outside her luxury condo in Miami. He would pose as someone connected to the crime, someone demanding payment, and investigators would watch what happened next. The agent handed Donna a flyer, an article about Dan Markel's demise, with $5,000 written on it, and a phone number. The message was clear without being explicit. We know what happened. We know you were involved, and we want to be paid for our silence. The agent posed as the brother of Luis Rivera, one of the convicted hitmen already in custody. He told Donna he knew the Adelsons had been helping Magbanua and Garcia for their roles in the event. He said Rivera deserved help too, that his family needed support, that the Adelsons owed them. Donna's reaction was immediate. She was flustered, caught off guard. She took the flyer. She didn't call police. She didn't demand to know who this man was or threaten to report him. Instead, within minutes, she called her son Charlie. Not the police, not a lawyer, not her husband, her son, the one person who would understand exactly what this meant. The FBI had wiretaps on Charlie's phone. They had been authorized months earlier as part of the ongoing investigation. They recorded everything. Donna's voice on the call was careful, coded. She said she got some paperwork hand-delivered to her. Charlie asked if it involved him or other people. Donna replied it probably involved both of them, probably the two of them. You probably have a general idea what I'm talking about. They needed to meet in person. Charlie asked if it was a threat. She said she didn't think going to police was a good idea. He told her not to talk about things in the apartment or any place. She said obviously, this wasn't panic. This was choreography. Two people who knew exactly what they couldn't say out loud. Charlie then called Catherine Magbanua. She called Sigfrido Garcia. The conspirators were lighting up the wire, and every word was being recorded. Charlie and Donna met the next day at Dolce Vita restaurant in Miami. The FBI recorded that too. Enhanced audio captured Charlie wondering aloud whether the man who approached his mother was law enforcement or a blackmailer. He said if they had any evidence, we would have already gone to the airport. He said if we go to the police, this is going to put a spotlight on the investigation. Eventually, Donna herself called the undercover agent. She insisted repeatedly she didn't know anything. She said, I know I lost my ex-son-in-law, but I can't take this kind of level of stress. It's not me. The undercover agent pressed her. Donna's responses grew desperate, but she never confessed. She deflected. She denied. And then she hung up. The FBI had what they needed. Not a confession, but behavior. Consciousness of guilt. People who are innocent call police when threatened. People who are guilty call co-conspirators. It would take years for those wiretaps to lead to arrest warrants. Charlie Adelson wasn't arrested until April 2022, 6 years after the bump operation, 8 years after Dan's execution. By then, investigators had used audio enhancement technology to clarify recordings from the Dolce Vita meeting, revealing even more incriminating statements. Charlie's trial began in October 2023. He testified in his own defense. He claimed he was the victim of an extortion scheme. According to Charlie, Catherine Magbanua told him after Dan's demise that if he didn't pay 1/3 of $1 million within 48 hours, he'd be next. So he paid what he could, $138,000 in cash. Then $3,000 a month through the family dental practice. For years. But here's what destroys that story. If you're being extorted, you go to police. You don't quietly pay for years. You don't put the extorter on your company payroll. Catherine Magbanua took the stand for the prosecution. For the first time under oath, she testified that Charlie orchestrated the plot. She said he discussed it with his mother Donna, that he would step out of the room when on the phone with Donna about this. On November 6th, 2023, after just 3 hours of deliberation, the jury found Charlie Adelson guilty. First-degree homicide, conspiracy, solicitation. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole, plus an additional 30 years. 1 week later, his mother was arrested. November 13th, 2023, Miami International Airport. Donna and her husband Harvey had packed their bags. They had obtained rushed visas, and they were about to board a flight that would take them far from American justice.
Because my attorney said not to.
Why do I have to answer? This is evidence. She's under arrest. I have to go with you. I have to go. You don't have that choice. Let me help you out. No, I have to stay. Please don't do this. Don't stay. You need to grab the bags. Take the bags. Yeah. And you need to wait outside. Okay.
My husband's almost 80 years old. He can't come with me?
Please, can I help? No, you can't join me there. Oh, don't do this, please.
Please.
Oh,
Someone's got to help him get home. It's terrible. You can't do this. This is insane.
Is that okay with you? Please. Please put that with handcuffs on her. She's not going anywhere. Say your seat. Please. Do you have anything in your pocket?
No.
Do you have anything of value in you?
No, I
Does she have a necklace on you?
Wanna go?
You can take it off. I'll take it.
Yeah, take it off. Yeah.
And the earrings?
And the earrings, the rings, take everything. You give it to your husband. Because once you arrive at County Jail, they're gonna make you remove all that.
Can I call my attorney?
You can get the passport already.
Where am I going?
Just open your finger.
Where am I going?
You're going to the Dade County Jail.
Dade County Jail.
Broward County, right?
No, this is right here. The one on.
I'm sorry, remove her earrings. Yeah. I'll call.
Get an Uber, go home.
I will.
Take
I
it
will.
easy.
I will.
All right?
Yes.
Here, hon.
If there's anything else in her person that she wants.
Oh, it's coming, sweetheart. It's coming. Just a second.
Do you have her driver's license by any chance?
I'm sorry?
Her driver's.
It's in my
Yeah.
It's in my purse.
Yeah.
How it is?
Yeah, then you could give it.
Sure.
It's
Do you need her
almost there.
passport? Or can I give it to the husband? The passport can I give it to the husband?
What's up?
Where is it?
It's in the blue and white. It's in the blue and white.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get her driver's license for it. Yeah.
And the license, the address on your license is correct?
Yes.
She needs all her.
When she goes to the
jail, they work with the hospital.
They're all in here, though.
Yes, they work. If I take them here, what will happen is when you go there, they toss them out. So when you go to there, you will meet the nurse and the doctor, and then they'll work in conjunction with the hospital to get you whatever you need.
Yeah, but I don't have a list. I know what.
Yes.
I have a.
Is it multiple or is just one or two?
There's a bag of medication in here. Is that what you're asking me?
She can take medication. No, I know. I was just trying to find out if it was like one or two. Yeah, if it was one or two, then she maybe could take the name down.
Do you need anything else from her?
Can I ask you
Or we're good to
something?
go?
Can someone just get my husband outside and
So I'll get him. This gentleman here will assist him in any way. I'll be okay.
I have the ring. Hold on.
Let me have the ring, please. Yeah, no, I'll okay.
That's crazy.
I love you.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Thanks again. Appreciate you guys. How,
Donna Adelson, 73 years old at the time, was intercepted on the jetway. She and her husband had one-way tickets. First to Dubai, then to Vietnam. 2 countries with no extradition treaty with the United States. FBI Special Agent Pat Sanford, the lead investigator on the Markel case, was there. So were other law enforcement officials. They had to move fast. State Attorney Jack Campbell later explained they had been monitoring the situation. They started talking about the complexities of trying to bring someone back from Dubai or Vietnam. It could take months, maybe longer. So they made a decision quickly. They obtained an arrest warrant from Leon Circuit Judge Stephen Everett around 5:45 that evening. Donna's flight was scheduled to depart at 8:15. When officers approached, Donna was stunned. The body cam footage shows her being escorted through the airport in silence. Travelers stared. She said nothing. She got into a police car, emotionless. She was booked into Miami-Dade detention and later transferred to Leon County Jail. Her husband Harvey was not arrested. He was allowed to go home. He has never been charged with any offense connected to this case. Donna's defense attorney would later argue the trip wasn't an attempt to flee permanently. He said she was traumatized by her son's conviction. She was furious with the justice system. She just wanted to get away for a while. They planned to return in January for their grandson's bar mitzvah. A family friend testified that Donna was the ultimate Jewish grandmother. She would never miss such an event. But prosecutors presented evidence that Donna had researched non-extradition countries and recorded jail calls with Charlie. She obtained a 90-day visa for Vietnam. She pushed for urgency in those visa applications. And she and Harvey were intercepted less than 48 hours before a grand jury was scheduled to meet at the Leon County Courthouse. The timing, prosecutors argued, wasn't coincidence. It was calculation. Donna Adelson's trial began in August 2025. She was 75 by then, 2 years in custody. The woman who once lived in a luxury Miami condo now wore jail-issued clothing. The woman who once signed paychecks for a thriving dental practice now depended on court-appointed meals. She had hired her son's lead attorney, Daniel Rashbaum, initially. But Rashbaum withdrew due to a conflict of interest related to his representation of Charlie. She then hired new counsel. The case was delayed multiple times. Weather, attorney changes, procedural motions. But eventually, in late August, jury selection began. The trial lasted just over 2 weeks. The courtroom in Tallahassee's Leon County was packed. Media from across the country. True crime followers who have been tracking this case for years. Dan Markel's family, who had waited over a decade for this moment. And the Adelson family, or what remained of it. Harvey was there most days, when he came only when subpoenaed. The state called dozens of witnesses, each one adding another layer to the prosecution's narrative. Luis Rivera, the driver, testified about the planning, the trips to Tallahassee, the reconnaissance, the execution. He spoke in a flat, matter-of-fact tone about things that should never sound routine. Catherine Magbanua, for the first time, testified fully about Charlie and Donna's involvement. She said Charlie would step out of the room when talking to his mother about this. She described the paychecks, the cash, the coded conversations. She had nothing left to lose. She was already serving life. Her testimony wasn't about freedom. It was about truth. Or, at least, her version of it. Wendi Adelson took the stand under subpoena with limited immunity. She denied involvement. She claimed she had no knowledge of any plot. She explained away every suspicious behavior. The joke about the hitman, the TV as a divorce gift, the attempt to drive by Dan's house right after the shooting. She said it was her usual route, a habit, a coincidence. But prosecutors pushed back. They showed texts, emails, evidence of Donna's obsession with relocating the children, evidence of anger when that relocation was denied, evidence of discussions about offering $1 million to Dan, evidence of a family that saw Dan as an obstacle to be removed. FBI agents testified about the bump operation, about the wiretaps, about thousands of intercepted calls between Charlie, Donna, Magbanua, and Garcia, about coded language, about conversations that stopped abruptly when people realized they were saying too much. Forensic analysts testified about cell tower data, about financial transactions, about the trail of evidence connecting South Florida to Tallahassee on the dates that mattered. Former romantic partners testified about things Wendi had said, about Charlie's jokes that weren't jokes, about a family whose hatred for Dan seemed consuming. Jailhouse informants testified about conversations Donna allegedly had while awaiting trial, about statements she allegedly made about the case, about her apparent lack of remorse. The defense argued there was no direct evidence, no recording of Donna explicitly ordering the event, no financial transaction directly linking her to the gunman. They said Charlie acted alone, that others were more directly involved, that Donna was a loving mother caught in a nightmare not of her making. They painted her as elderly, frail, someone incapable of orchestrating such violence. But prosecutors countered that masterminds rarely get their hands dirty. That's the entire point of hiring others, of maintaining distance, of using intermediaries. The evidence showed Donna had the motive, the means, and the method. She wanted her grandchildren close. She had the money to make it happen, and she had a son willing to handle the logistics. Throughout the trial, Donna insisted she had done nothing wrong, and when given the chance to speak, she made sure everyone heard her certainty.
What happened to Danny is unforgivable, but I am an innocent woman convicted of this terrible crime without evidence. Danny was a brilliant legal scholar. He would have been appalled at the total lack of justice that went on during my trial. He would have been embarrassed to have his name associated with any of it. There are two crimes here. The first was Danny being viciously murdered. The second one is taking my life, the life of an innocent woman. Convicting me should not be retribution for Danny's death. That is not justice for Dan. I've always respected the law. I've never gotten a parking ticket, but I'm going to prison for a murder I did not commit. I do intend to file an appeal so that hopefully I have the opportunity to be given a fair trial outside of Tallahassee. 11 years ago, Danny was murdered and taken from all of us who loved him. For the past 9.5 years, the state has broadcast to the world, including Danny's parents and sister, that I hired hitmen to kill him. Never in a million years would I have wanted Danny to be harmed or killed, nor could I ever do something that would leave these two small boys to grow up without him. I love these boys more than life itself. This is a lifetime of loss for these children. They didn't deserve this. His family didn't deserve this. Danny didn't deserve this. And so, as I appear before you today, Your Honor, I promise you with my whole heart, I swear to you on my life, I was not involved in any way with Danny's murder. I was not.
Defense have any further argument to make?
Donna maintained her stance repeatedly throughout the proceedings. She said she had always respected the law. She had never gotten a parking ticket in her entire life. She was being sent to prison for something she didn't do. Her tone was firm, resolute, certain. There was no grief for Dan, no acknowledgement of the destruction left behind, only insistence on her own virtue. But true innocence often looks confused, shaken, uncertain. It asks, why is this happening? Donna's proclamations felt rehearsed, like legacy management, like someone speaking not to prove innocence, but to control how she would be remembered. During the trial, Donna's husband Harvey took the stand. He spoke on her behalf. He defended her character, and his words revealed something about how this family operates.
Thank you, Judge, and respected officers of the court for allowing me to speak. I have been Donna Adelson's husband for over 50 years. My wife sacrificed everything so that she could pour her heart and soul into our children, our grandchildren, and our marriage. This summer was our 54th wedding anniversary, and I had to spend it without her, hand in mine. She has done nothing wrong, and yet is being punished for a crime that she did not commit. I thought we lived in a different kind of world, but I guess I was wrong. I have listened, watched, and sat in the courtroom for the entire trial, and I could not help but scream in my mind by the witnesses that were brought forward by the prosecution who told outright lies. I didn't know that you could lie in a courtroom, but apparently you can. Danny's parents contend that they have never seen their grandchild. But for years they say they've never seen her. But Wendi has shared with me pictures and videos and letters from their visits. They have suffered immensely at the loss of their son, but they also contend to tell lies to the court about our grandchildren. Donna has always been a loving and caring wife and is innocent of the charges. A biased judge and jury were influenced by years of one-sided news pieces and social media.
Doctor, Ms. Fulford, this has nothing to do with the character of the defendant or at least the sentencing.
May I just one moment, please?
Go ahead.
Oh, all right, thank you for letting me continue. Donna did not participate in the heinous acts that she was convicted of doing. You are sending an innocent woman to prison. You have taken my wife and you have taken my life as well. And for what? This is not justice. It is vengeance, and it is wrong.
You have an examination for Dr. Adelson.
No, Your Honor. No, Judge.
Any other witness statements that you wish?
Harvey Adelson described his wife as someone incapable of such actions. He spoke of her as a devoted mother, a caring grandmother, someone who lived for her family. But here's what stands out. Why does Harvey speak for Donna? Why not let her testimony stand alone? In healthy relationships, individuals have their own voices. In controlled systems, voices are managed, filtered, presented through proxies. Harvey's testimony mirrored a pattern seen throughout this case. The Adelson defense was collective, not individual. When Donna was approached by the undercover agent, she called Charlie. When Charlie faced trial, the family closed ranks. When Donna was arrested, Harvey was beside her on that jetway. This wasn't a family defending innocence. This was a unit protecting itself. The jury deliberated for just over 3 hours. On September 4th, 2025, they returned guilty verdicts on all counts. First-degree homicide, conspiracy, solicitation. When the first verdict was read, Donna exclaimed, "Oh my God." She began shaking and crying. The judge ordered the jury removed. He gave her 2 minutes to compose herself. He warned there would be no further outbursts. During the trial and its sentencing, Donna tried repeatedly to frame herself as the victim. The judge had heard enough.
Wanted was a level playing field, but the court wanted the trial here in the hotbed of Tallahassee. I sat through 3 days of jury selection. 180 potential jurors were asked if they had developed an opinion in my case. Those that answered yes also added, "I believe she is guilty." Not one person, not one, said, "I think she may be innocent." That should have been a clue to the court to grant our motion for a change of venue, but the court denied the motion. One of my jurors admitted during jury selection that she had background information concerning what one of the state's witnesses would be testifying about. Why was she allowed to be on my jury?
What moment?
Another juror.
Mrs. Fulford.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Mr. Zellman. Again, this has nothing to do with elocution of any sort. This is a raising of grievances, which are properly given to the appellate court. What does any of this have to do with sentencing?
Just one moment, please.
Turn that phone off or step out.
Donna complained of mistreatment, of an unfair trial, of being denied medical care in custody. She claimed she was mistreated and hurt while detained. She positioned herself as someone wronged by the system. Her complaints were detailed, her grievances specific, and yet the judge was unmoved.
Okay. And then she named a package that she wanted. And she's out. She was gone. She was just that fast. That fast.
Okay. How bad would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad would you rate the pain at the time that she did that to you?
Oh my God, it was a 10.
Okay.
I didn't know my arm could, I didn't know how my arm could reach that far back.
Okay. And what did you do after she did that to you?
So, kind of stood there for a minute, and then I just thought, okay, I'm gonna go back to my bunk. And I went back to my bunk, and I got under the covers, and I cried. I just stayed under my covers. I didn't come out.
Okay. Where were you at, first of all, when that took place?
In October. So I was in the bathroom. It's 10:30 at night. I went in to brush my teeth. There are three sink stations in the bathroom. Each one has 4 sinks. And I was at the center station with my back to the door, and I'm a righty, so I was holding right hand, and I was balancing myself with my left hand on the sink, just brushing my teeth. That's all I was doing.
And what happened?
And my left hand away from the sink, and twisted my arm, and jerked it behind my back, with my neck.
Okay.
And
did it hurt?
Yeah, it hurt.
Okay. What happened?
It hurt. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she's, in the same breath that she did that with my arm, she said, "You're going to buy me commissary." I said, "I'm going to what?" And she said, "Those pretty white teeth knocked out of your mouth, you're going to buy me commissary."
9 or 10, somewhere in the morning. Okay, and when she told you that she didn't have any sick call forms for you to request a Band-Aid, and you would need to get it from the night nurse, approximately what time does the night nurse come?
So the night nurse comes anywhere from 11:30 to 2:30 in the morning.
11:30 p.m. to what time?
2:30 a.m.
To 2:30 a.m.
Right.
And in the meantime, you were supposed to use the feminine pads?
I called my husband. He told me to elevate my arm, to wash it.
The judge interrupted her multiple times. He cited what he called an utter lack of remorse. He pointed out that she could choose to maintain innocence, but the court found the evidence clear. And then he said something that cut through every defense strategy, every claim of confusion or misunderstanding.
Please rise. Level of planning and coordination to bring the murder of Professor Markel to fruition was significant in this case. These were not crimes of chance or opportunity, and these crimes also required you to conspire with your son and others. You certainly can choose to deny your involvement and maintain innocence. The court finds the evidence in this case is clear. You will be sentenced accordingly this afternoon. The jury has found you guilty on charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and solicitation to commit first-degree murder, and the court previously adjudicated you guilty as to these same charges on September 4th of this year. On count 1 of the indictment for first-degree murder, you are hereby sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole or release pursuant to sections 782.04 and 775.082 sub 1 sub A Florida statutes. On count 2 of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, you are hereby sentenced to 30 years in Department of Corrections that will run consecutive to count 1. The court will also sentence you to 30 years in Department of Corrections on count 3. Counts 2 and 3 are to run concurrently.
The judge spoke of planning, of calculated steps, of deliberate actions taken over time. Not chaos, not confusion, not the panic of someone falsely accused. Planning. That single word dismantled the entire narrative Donna had tried to construct. Because planning requires intention. It requires coordination. It requires knowing what you're doing and why. When given the opportunity to speak before sentencing, Donna had one final chance to express remorse, to acknowledge the devastation. Instead, she doubled down.
She can remain at counsel table.
Thank you. I'm going to move the microphone. Because this is not amplified.
Okay. Is this loud enough, Judge?
I can hear you.
Thank you for letting me speak. My son-in-law, Dan Markel, was a fine and decent man. He was well educated and passionate about his career. He was a good son-in-law, but more importantly, he was a caring and loving father. On July 18th, 2014, his car was followed, leaving his home. It should have been just like any other day, an ordinary day in the life of Ben and Lincoln's father, but it wasn't. He didn't know when he left his boys off at daycare that would be the last time he would see them, and the last time they would see him. He didn't know when he went to the gym afterwards that would be the last time he would exercise. And he didn't know when he drove home that his life would end within minutes. Danny wasn't just being followed, he was being hunted. He was brutally murdered in broad daylight, sitting in his car, in his garage, by vicious killers. I cannot imagine the terror he felt when he saw a gun pointed at him through the window of his car. I cannot conceive of his heroic efforts to stay alive during the hours after the attack. Danny died in the early morning hours of July 19th. His death is a loss to his children, his parents, his sister, all of us in his family, his friends, his colleagues in the legal community, and to his students at FSU Law School. Danny's boys each have a photo of themselves with their Abba, their dad, beside their beds. They grew up kissing the framed photo and saying, "Good night, Abba, I love you." The pictures and memories are all they have because cruel, cold-hearted people took him from all of us who loved him. My heart was broken when Danny died. My grandsons were going to grow up without the father who loved them. I wondered, how could we help these boys through this trauma? It was then that my husband and I knew that the best way to honor Danny's memory would be to share with these children an abundance of love, the love that Danny would have given them if he were alive. It is interesting how the state can't make up its mind about who is what they call the, quote, mastermind behind this murder. In both of Catherine McBano's trials, the state claimed she was the mastermind behind Danny's murder. In my son Charlie Adelson's trial, they claimed he was the mastermind. And now in my trial, they claimed that I, this grandma, was the mastermind behind the murder. I had no idea that other people planned to cut Danny's life short. And the people who did this are exactly where they deserve to be. But I had no knowledge that this horrible, evil act was going to take place. If I had become aware of this plan before Danny was murdered, I would have stopped it. With not one iota of actual evidence, the state convinced the Tallahassee jury that I solicited and conspired with other people to have Danny killed. Where is the evidence prior to the murder? The evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the state needed to prove their case. Where is the evidence before July 18th, 2014 at 10:50 in the morning?
Before you continue, Mrs. Adelson, as it relates to this statement, is the defense trying to re-argue the trial?
No,
The judge was giving Adelson an opportunity to be heard.
Mrs. Adelson, you certainly can continue. However, the court can take into consideration the utter lack of remorse that you are displaying. Please proceed if you desire to do so.
Where is the evidence before July 18th, 2014 at 10:50 a.m. that revealed that I had any involvement in this vile and horrific act? Where is the solicitation and conspiracy evidence? The state needed to show that there was evidence before the murder to convict me. The state couldn't show that because there wasn't any evidence. They were trying an innocent person. It makes you wonder if the jurors were sleeping when the state had Sergeant Corbett on the stand for hours. Their own star witness testified that my phone was never, I repeat, never at my son's house on the night of the murder. The state's theory that my husband and I dropped off money to my son was blown out of the water by their own witness. And yet, the state continued to push that story, that lie of the so-called money drop to the jury through the remainder of the trial. And the jury bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. Reasonable doubt. Many months ago, my attorneys filed a motion for a change of venue. An expert witness testified that Tallahassee had been barraged with over 9 years of negative social media, printed news, television news, and podcast publicity about my family. He explained to the court, both with evidence and demonstratives, that for me to receive a fair trial, it needed to be held in any of the researched and designated areas in the state of Florida other than Tallahassee. All I wanted was a level playing field, but the court wanted the trial here, in the hotbed of Tallahassee. I sat through 3 days of jury selection. 180 potential jurors were asked if they had developed an opinion in my case. Those that answered yes also added, I believe she is guilty. Not one person, not one, said, I think she may be innocent. That should have been a clue to the court to grant our motion for a change of venue, but the court denied the motion. One of my jurors admitted during jury selection that she had background information concerning what one of the state's witnesses would be testifying about. Why was she allowed to be on my jury?
What moment?
Another juror.
Mrs. Fulford,
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Mr. Zellman, again, this has nothing to do with elocution of any sort. This is a raising of grievances, which are properly given to the appellate court. What does any of this have to do with sentencing?
Just one moment, please.
On October 13th, 2025, Donna Adelson was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the homicide charge. An additional 30 years each for conspiracy and solicitation, to be served consecutively. She stood shackled in a purple jail jumpsuit. She listened as the judge handed down the sentence. She heard Dan Markel's mother, Ruth, deliver an impact statement about profound sadness and grief. About a son whose life was cut short at 41. About grandchildren she hasn't seen in years because Wendi changed their last names and cut off contact. Phil Markel, Dan's father, wished Donna to live to 120 years old, alone in her cell, thinking every day about the harm caused, especially to those two boys she claimed to love so much. Donna is the fifth person convicted in Dan Markel's demise. All are serving significant sentences. Luis Rivera, 19 years. Sigfrido Garcia, life without parole. Catherine Magbanua, life plus 60 years. Charlie Adelson, life plus 60 years. And now Donna, life plus 60 years. But this case isn't over. Not really. Wendi Adelson has never been charged. Prosecutors have named her as an unindicted co-conspirator. She testified at both her brother's and her mother's trials. She denied involvement. She said she had no knowledge of any plot. She explained away suspicious behaviors. The joke about the hitman. The attempt to drive by Dan's house right after the event, claiming it was a shortcut she habitually took. State Attorney Jack Campbell has said the investigation continues, that they will work to hold every responsible person accountable. But he won't predict where that leads. So here's what we're left with. A law professor gunned down over a custody dispute. A family that communicated in code. A mother who tried to board a plane to a country with no extradition treaty 1 week after her son's conviction. A judge who spoke of careful planning. And 2 young boys who will grow up knowing their father was taken from them by the people who claim to love them. This case isn't just about Donna Adelson. It's about how power operates in families. How control can masquerade as care. How people who present themselves as respectable can engineer destruction while maintaining plausible deniability. Donna never pulled the trigger. She probably never met the hitman. But prosecutors argued she was the architect, the person who made it possible, the person who funded it, the person who wanted it. And here's the thing about being an architect. You don't build the house yourself. You draw the plans. You hire the contractors. You oversee the project. And when it's complete, you step back and admire the work. Dan Markel's elimination wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't impulsive. It was planned, stalked, executed, and then covered up for years. The FBI bump revealed what innocence looks like versus what guilt looks like. Innocent people, when approached by someone claiming knowledge of a serious event, call police. They demand protection. They cooperate. Guilty people call their co-conspirators. They speak in code. They arrange secret meetings. They try to manage the situation quietly. Donna's arrest at the airport revealed something else. When people believe they're about to face consequences, they run. They don't run to clear their names. They run to avoid accountability. And her statements in court revealed perhaps the most chilling truth of all. There was no remorse. No acknowledgement of Dan as a human being who loved his children. No reflection on the pain caused. Only insistence on her own victimhood. That's not innocence. That's ego protection. That's someone more concerned with how they're perceived than with the lives destroyed. At the center of this tragedy are 2 children. They lost their father to violence. They lost their grandmother to prison. Their uncle is serving life. Their mother is under suspicion. And they had their last names changed from Markel to Adelson. Dan's parents haven't seen their grandchildren in years. Florida has some of the most restrictive grandparent visitation laws in the nation. Wendi cut off contact after the arrest began. Those children will eventually learn the full truth. They'll read court transcripts. They'll listen to wiretaps. They'll see body cam footage. They'll understand that people who claim to love them orchestrated the taking of their father. How do you recover from that? How do you build a life knowing your family's love came with conditions? That when those conditions weren't met, violence followed. The Donna Adelson case is a reminder that evil doesn't always look like what we expect. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers in coded phone calls. Sometimes it signs paychecks to people who don't actually work for you. Sometimes it books one-way tickets to countries that won't send you back. And sometimes evil insists it's virtuous. It performs outrage. It claims persecution. It speaks through proxies. It plans carefully. And when caught, it blames everyone else. 11 years, 5 convictions, countless hours of investigation, all to prove what Dan Markel's family knew from the beginning, that the Adelsons wanted him gone, and that Donna made it happen. Justice came, slowly, but it came. Dan Markel will never see his son's graduate, never walk them down the aisle, never meet his grandchildren. Donna Adelson will spend the rest of her life in prison. She'll die behind bars. And history will remember her not as a devoted grandmother, but as the matriarch who orchestrated violence when she couldn't get what she wanted. This has been yet another investigation from the Dark Trail Files. If this story deeply affected you, please share this video with others who need to see it. Subscribe because we're not done exploring cases that challenge everything we think we know. Remember, the darkest trails often start in the most familiar places. Sometimes the greatest danger comes from those who claim to love you the most. Stay vigilant, stay curious, and we'll see you on the next trail.